Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the scientific community here in the Commonwealth keeps a close eye on a new COVID-19 variant. And one of the busiest shopping days of the holiday season brings some risks along with it.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good Monday morning to you. It's just before 6, well, it's literally almost 6 o'clock here on this Monday morning. I'm Dakota Makris, and before you head out the door, you might want to take a few extra minutes to start that car like I did this morning. Even if you're running late like I was, you can still start that car because it's cold outside, and Brandon Robinson has the latest on that. But Brandon, I know, it's going to warm up a little bit later, but right now it is just cold and cold.
Frosty out there this morning, Dakota, so make sure you give yourself either time to warm those cars up or scrape them off because you'll definitely need that. Let's go to Corbin along I-75 this morning. Take a look at that camera. You'll see things pretty quiet down that way. Traffic moving along pretty well, so no major issues to report the last few hours. Temperatures down to 19 now in Monticello, 23 in Wise, 22 in Irvin, and let's see what the next closest one is. I guess upper 20s there and low 30s down toward the Kentucky-Tennessee border there across those parts of the area. So you'll need some extra coffee this morning because it's Monday, because it's the end of a long holiday weekend, and because it's cold out there. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on things. 52 average high this time of the year, 44 the forecast high, and the record high set back on this date in 1991 of 72. Dakota?
All right, Brandon, thank you. Well, cases of the Omicron variant of the coronavirus are starting to pop up in countries around the world. Jeremy Toms spoke with Lexington Dr. Ryan Stanton about the new variant and what Kentuckians should know at this stage.
As the Omicron variant starts to emerge worldwide, Lexington Dr. Ryan Stanton says it's still unclear what we're dealing with.
We've had some variants of concern that have really done nothing, and we've had things such as the Delta variant that have really taken off.
With winter around the corner, Stanton says several other viruses are also becoming a concern, such as flu and RSV.
Not only are we dealing with COVID-19 with a stability, but we're also seeing other things as well. I had my first diagnosis of flu yesterday that I've seen in about 20 months. Now we've had a couple here in this department.
Dr. Stanton says the scientific community will continue to keep an eye on it. And in the meantime, people should continue to mask where appropriate and get the vaccine.
At this point, I don't think it's beneficial for any of us to be paralyzed in fear about COVID-19. It's just doing all the things that we can to protect ourselves and protect others. We as a country are better off than we were just a few months ago. Not only because of the vaccination of a significant number of people, but also the natural immunity that exists out there too, and even better in terms of strong immune response, those that have had exposures to both.
Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Well, Dr. Stanton says he doesn't expect Omicron to impact the efficacy of the vaccine, given its effectiveness against the Delta variant. Well, today, President Joe Biden will offer an update on the COVID-19 variant and on the U.S. response. At least a dozen countries have reported cases, and multiple countries, including the U.S., are shutting their doors to South Africa and its neighbors as health experts around the world scrambled to learn more about the variant. At the White House Sunday, the president met with his COVID-19 response team, where Dr. Anthony Fauci said it would be about 2 more weeks to have a more definite information on the transmissibility, severity, and other characteristics of the variant. In the meantime, experts say we need to be proactive with vaccinations and boosters. Italian authorities have identified the first confirmed case of the Omicron variant in the country. Italy's health ministry made the announcement in a statement on Saturday. The one case identified is a passenger who arrived from Mozambique. They did not disclose the day of the passenger's arrival or nationality. Well, a lot of people are traveling this holiday season. Friday alone, nationwide, TSA screened more than 1.7 million people. That's up from 820,000 from last year, but lower than 2019's nearly 2 million people. And on Wednesday, TSA says travelers set a pandemic-era record. The agency says it screened 2.3 million people at airports nationwide the day before Thanksgiving.
As you can see, the lines are really long, and I'm just trying to make it to my flight on time.
I didn't expect this at all. I would have left on Tuesday if I knew it was going to be like this.
Yeah.
Well, the day before Thanksgiving was the busiest day since March 2020, and that's nearly 90% of what the travel was on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving in 2019. It's also more than double the number of people screened on that day in 2020. Cyber Monday is officially here, and retailers have been ramping up for one of the biggest shopping days of the season. Many Kentuckians will log on throughout the day to snag some holiday deals. With today's online lifestyle, many people prefer to shop online rather than in stores. But officials say there are some risks that could come with doing your holiday shopping on the internet.
Scammers are really crafty about changing one letter and copying what looks like the legitimate store site, and it's actually not. There's a lot of organized retail theft. A lot of the materials that they are stealing, they will turn around and try to sell on a third-party website. You may not be getting authentic material.
Officials say if you didn't order something from a retailer, then do not click on an email that says your package is on the way. People in Pike County took to the streets to get some sweet deals on Small Business Saturday. Our Jordan Mullins has more from Pikeville, where shopping small with local businesses could have saved you a few bucks and helped the community in the process.
Small Business Saturday is an important day of the year for many communities, including those in Pike County.
So Small Business Saturday in downtown Pike was a really special day for our local merchants. It's really the kickoff to the Christmas shopping season for our downtown stores.
The Main Street program also featured a red bag event for Small Business Saturday, which rewarded those who chose to shop local. Kicking off Christmas shopping by visiting family-owned mom-and-pop shops throughout the downtown area.
I think people are really getting away from the big boxes, and they're wanting to come back to the mom-and-pops and the downtown areas, and that's what we're trying to do.
While helping the community and its businesses recover after a tough year.
COVID really put a lot of restrictions on us last year. So this is really a reopening of sorts for a lot of our small businesses downtown, because a lot of them did take a hit, as so many people did throughout our country.
All in an effort to boost economic growth, ensure small businesses stay up and running, and make this year's Christmas shopping a little more merry.
And I think it's very important that we can get those people back into town. And I think they're understanding it now, because the traffic that we're getting downtown now with all these new businesses is really outstanding. And we're very proud to be a small part of that.
Thinking big while shopping small. In Pikeville, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
Pikeville Main Street Program Director Minta Trimble says the day was a huge success and hopes the event can grow even more in the future. A fire department in Virginia is hoping to send a large donation to West Africa, as it could save a lot of lives there. The Charlottesville Fire Department is trying to send this fire engine to Winneba, Ghana. But as you can imagine, shipping the emergency truck isn't cheap. Officials say they need around $7,000 to make it happen. The Charlottesville Winneba Foundation is planning a fundraising concert in December to raise money to cover the cost.
We are in a developing country, and this is a developed country. And so things that they have here cannot be compared to things that they have back home.
The truck is worth about $25,000, but a team in Winneba says it would be worth so much more to the people in that community. In Virginia Friday, a community came together to honor hundreds of African Americans who had been buried at a forgotten cemetery. Descendants of the former slaves in Bluefield used the day after Thanksgiving as a special time of remembrance for their ancestors. Glenn Kittle explains how the long neglected graves finally became recognized.
Almighty Father, source of forgiveness and salvation, grant today that our relatives and friends who have passed from this life many years ago may continue to rest in sweet peace.
At Maple Hill Cemetery, more than 300 African Americans were honored at a grave site left neglected until Friday. Susie Green's relatives are buried here. She spearheaded the project for their story to be told.
There's a certain amount of joy that I'm sharing, because the words that would have been maybe on paper, but not on a sign for people to see, not for our children to be able to read and recognize that their ancestors did things that were important in the town of Bluefield, Virginia.
During the ceremony, many expressed how this is a step toward healing wounds from the past. Some buried here are former slaves.
the first thing that comes to my mind, I think, is an apology. That we should not have had to have an event like this. The folks buried behind me are as much of making Bluefield, Virginia what it is, or the folks buried in front of me.
Future generations can learn from this historical marker and learn from their nation's past to build a better future.
Well, it gives the people that in the future something to look forward to when they come. They'll know, and they'll look for something where we don't have to dig so deep. They can come in, they can recognize it because we have a sign now, to illustrate where it is and where they can come to find it.
In May of next year, 3 new granite tombstones will be dedicated at the Maple Hill Cemetery. They will be engraved with the names of more than 100 African Americans who do not have individual markers there.
Well, the forecast a little bit on the chilly side this morning after a dry, cold front moved through this weekend, but the sunshine will warm us up just a little bit later today. UVA-wise this morning, pretty quiet, no major issues. Had a few clouds roll through in the overnight hours. See that there on the time lapse, but those have moved out this morning. And it shows 23 in Wise, 22 Irvin, 19 in Monticello, 30 in Jacksboro. Everybody else kind of falling there in between in the mid to upper 20s across our region. 44 this afternoon. Sun and clouds, a calm day, but overall a chilly day. But then after that, a warming trend is on the way. We see temperatures in the 50s, 60s, and yeah, it's going to be a soggy start to December potentially there as we see some rain chances come into play with a weak disturbance on Wednesday, which starts meteorological winter. I know, I said 60s on meteorological winter's first day. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. The time is 6:11. More news is on the way. When we come back, a community in Florida mourns the loss of a former congresswoman who made history as she served our nation.